We've all heard the stories. Adam and Eve, the serpent, the fall from grace. But what if the Bible got it wrong? What if the original sin wasn't humanity's at all? To discover the truth, we delve into the forbidden history of Greek mythology, of Uranus, the Sky Father. His story reveals a dark truth hidden within the scriptures, a truth about the God of heaven himself. Did God sin first? Was his shame so great that the monotheistic authors rewrote history, burying the truth about the Father's fall? Prepare to have your faith challenged. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew. In this video, we expose the sins of the Father and the lies that built a religion. The creation myths of the ancient world are filled with tales of cosmic upheaval, of battles between gods and titans, of rebellion and usurpation. But what if these stories are more than just myths? What if they hold clues to a hidden history, a forgotten past that has been intentionally obscured? The Greek Orphic Rhapsodies and the Mesopotamian Enuma Elish paint a vivid picture of the early universe, a time of chaos and conflict where the gods themselves struggled for power. In these ancient tales, we find striking parallels to the biblical narrative, particularly in the stories of rebellion and the overthrow of the old gods. But while the Bible speaks of rebellious angels and the fall of Lucifer, it glosses over the details, leaving us with a sanitized version of events. The sons of Ouranos, the Greek sky god, are a prime example. Ouranos, fearing the prophecy of his own downfall, imprisons his firstborn children, the Cyclopes and the Hundred-Handers. This act of defiance mirrors the Enuma Elish, where Apsu plots to destroy his own offspring. Gaia, the Earth Mother, mourns the imprisonment of her children and pleads with the Titans to overthrow Ouranos. The fall of Ouranos is a cataclysmic event, a cosmic upheaval that gives birth to Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. But while the Bible celebrates the triumph of God over chaos, the Greek and Mesopotamian traditions acknowledge the cyclical nature of rebellion and usurpation. Cronus, having overthrown his father, now fears the same fate. He will, in turn, be overthrown by his own children, the Olympian gods. Perhaps the answer lies in the desire to establish a monotheistic worldview, where God is all-powerful and unchallenged. But in doing so, it also obscures a deeper truth. A truth that acknowledges the complexity of the universe and the cyclical nature of power. The sons of Ouranos, the rebellious angels, the fallen gods, they all represent a challenge to the established order. A reminder that even the most powerful beings are not immune to the forces of change and rebellion. The verses of Genesis, describing the third day of creation, speak of the earth bringing forth vegetation, the seeds of life. But what if these seeds are more than just plants? What if they represent the primal forces of creation, the sons of Ouranos, the rebellious angels, the very forces that challenge the established order? By hiding these narratives, the Bible may have sought to control the narrative, to suppress the knowledge of a more chaotic and complex universe. But the truth, like the seeds of creation, cannot be contained forever. It will eventually sprout, grow, and challenge the very foundations of the established order. The sons of Ouranos, the rebellious angels, they are a reminder that the universe is not static, that change is inevitable, and that even the most powerful beings are not immune to the forces of rebellion and renewal.
Welcome back, Doctrinal Deviants. Prepare to delve into the forbidden histories, the forbidden secrets of myth, and that of Scripture, where celestial beings clash and ancient narratives collide. Today we're going to be talking about the reign of Ouranos, from the context of the Orphic hymns, the Orphic rhapsodies, and how that's mirrored in the book of Genesis. We begin with a tale as old as time itself, the story of Ouranos, the Sky Father, who, consumed by fear and a lust for power, imprisons his own children in the depths of the earth. It's a primal act of injustice, a sin of the Father that will echo through the ages, through pages and pages of scripture, through theological doctrines, through dogmas that are passed down to us today. But what if this ancient Greek tragedy holds a hidden key to something else? A deeper cosmic drama, a drama that unfolds in the very pages of the Bible itself. You see, what I'm getting at here is the rebellion of the angels, the fall of Lucifer, the sins of the Father echoing through the generations. Are these isolated incidents, or do they whisper of a forgotten connection, a reimagining of an ancient apocalypse? Doctrinal deviants, get ready to challenge the accepted narrative, to question the very nature of good and evil, Father and Son, heaven and earth.
Before time, before light, before even the whispers of gods, there was only the void. A boundless expanse of swirling potential, a canvas upon which the universe would be painted. From the heart of this void emerged Nyx, the mother of all, she who held the secrets of creation within her fathomless depths. From Nyx were born Gaia, the fertile earth, and Ouranos, the boundless sky. Their union would spark the first dawn of creation. From this union sprang forth the Cyclopes, their single eye burning with primal fire, and the 100-handers, their might capable of shaping mountains and carving canyons. Their single eye sees what others cannot, the fiery heart of the world. With their strength, the very landscape bends to the will of their father Ouranos. The earth trembles beneath their feet, a testament to the power of the gods. In the heart of the volcanoes, they forge the thunderbolts, their fiery eye piercing the darkness. With every strike of their hammers, sparks fly and the earth trembles. They wrestle with the forces of nature, shaping the landscape with every movement. Mountains rise with our footsteps, valleys form with our sighs, and rivers flow from our tears. What manner of creatures are these? Their power is immense, their forms grotesque. Their very existence threatens the order I have brought to this nascent world. Ouranos, now the king of the Noric noetic cosmos, looks upon the children Gaia brings forth, 9 in number. 3 fates named Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. 3 100-handers named Cotys, Gyges, Briareus, all monsters of epic proportions. And last but not least, the Cyclopes named Brontes, and Steropes, and Argos. The loud crashing sounds of the lightning-bearing Cyclopes disturb him so. He looks upon his sons, the sons of God, and something inside him stirs toward madness. Much like the crashing and noise raised by the children of Apsu and Tiamat in Sumeria, thousands of years before, the narrative begins with a clash. A primal world where the seeds of brutal life are being formed on a lifeless and inert earth, the body of the mother, Gaia. This is what proceeded first from the womb of Nyx, a world of primal power, of cracking earth and sky, fecund with the possibility of life. Or as Genesis would say, the seeds of life were impregnated in the earth, and the offspring of the ground burst forth. Per-e is the chosen metaphorical term for this vegetation that so took root in the earth in Genesis, a metaphor that means offspring. For how could vegetation as we know it take root without the power of the sun? What Genesis cleverly encodes is the generation of the first seeds of life occurring. What the Orphic mysteries and the Enuma Elish tell us in greater detail is that in this primal time, the first seeds of life are being drawn out from the womb of Gaia, seeds that will later take root and overthrow their father in violent revolution. hacking his generative power from his body and rending the sky from the earth, separating the heavens and the earth for all successive cosmic images that will follow. It is an echo of the angelic rebellion in the Bible, where Lucifer the light-bringer raises arms against the Father, where the sons of God attempt to commit patricide. This is how the world was brought into being, not with mere words from a faceless God, but in a chaotic clash of primordial ideas that would set the stage for a much grander play. This is the reign of Ouranos, a brutal cosmic landscape with a horrifying ending. We've told the tale of Ouranos and his firstborn, but what do the scriptures say? We begin with the Orphic Rhapsodies. Nyx, the nurse of the gods, made obvious those who were previously concealed. She gave birth to Gaia, whose name means earth, and to Ouranos, the limits of the mind, whose name means sky, and she gave the scepter of Phanis to Ouranos, and thereby gave him the kingship. Ouranos and Gaia united, and this is the first marriage. Now the royal couple produced children. Gaia gave birth to the 3 Cyclopes and the 3 giant 100-handers, but these were an unruly bunch, and Ouranos cast them into the bowels of the earth, for he had received an oracle that his own children would overthrow him. In the Hebrew Tanakh, from the book of Genesis, the 3rd day of creation corresponds to the 3rd reign of the Orphic kings, that of Ouranos. But it remains clouded in metaphor, and it is our hope here to reveal these words. And God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth, that bear fruit with the seed in it." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, seed-bearing plants of every kind, and trees of every kind bearing fruit with the seed in it. And God saw that this was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a 3rd day. The text is littered with the metaphor of offspring, for the chosen word peri, in the Hebrew, means both herb, plant, and offspring. Has Genesis cleverly glossed over the fact that in this time of creation, Elohim, the divine counsel of the gods, gave birth to the first progeny, the sons of Ouranos. What now can we glimpse from the Septuagint? This Greek manuscript shares a somewhat more detailed account, and God said, "Let the earth bring forth herbage that sows seed according to its kind and likeness, and a fruit tree that bears fruit, whose seed is in it according to its kind on the earth." And so it happened. And the earth brought forth a plant of grass that sowed seed after its kind and after its likeness, and a tree that bore fruit, the seed of which was in itself after its kind upon the earth. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning, the 3rd day. What of the Enuma Elish? The ancient Babylonian creation account gives us a closer perspective of the Greek rhapsodic account. It is filled with backstory, speaking of a narrative that both the Tanakh and the Septuagint cleverly avoid. Before meadowland had coalesced and reed bed was to be found, when not one of the gods had been formed or had come into being, when no destinies had been decreed, the gods were created within them. Ansar and Kizar, who excelled them, were created. They prolonged their days, they multiplied their years. Anu, their son, could rival his father's. Anu, the son, equaled Ansar, and Anu begat Nudimud, his own equal. The divine brothers came together. Their clamour got loud, throwing Tiamat into a turmoil. They jarred the nerves of Tiamat, and by their dancing they spread alarm in Anduruna. Apsu opened his mouth and addressed Tiamat. "Their behaviour has become displeasing to me, and I cannot rest in the daytime or sleep at night. I will destroy and break up their way of life, that silence may reign and we may sleep." When Tiamat heard this, she raged and cried out to her spouse. She cried in distress, fuming within herself. She grieved over the plotted evil. How can we destroy what we have given birth to? Though their behavior causes distress, let us tighten discipline graciously. As from a rebellious vizier was the counsel of his mumu. Destroy, my father, that lawless way of life, that you may rest in the daytime and sleep by night. Apsu was pleased with him, his face beamed, because he had plotted evil against the gods, his sons.
Who are these sons of Ouranos? These sons of heaven, the sons of God, if it's not quite clear to you already? What we're speaking about here, or what Hesiod, what Orpheus, what the writers of the epic of Enuma Elish in Babylon are telling us, is these sons of Ouranos are the same as the sons of God in Genesis. These sons of Ouranos are clear parallels to what later traditions will call angelic hosts. Now, there are certain key markers, certain ways that we can find the parallels between the two. Let's begin with the seraphim. Our journey begins with fire, the searing primal energy that birthed the cosmos. In the Greek pantheon, we find them as the Cyclopes. Those mighty one-eyed giants, masters of the forge, wielding the very fire of creation, wielding the thunderbolts of Zeus. Hesiod, in his Theogony, tells us of their crafting of Zeus's thunderbolts with hammer and anvil and fire. These are weapons of unimaginable power, these fiery beings, born from the primordial chaos of the earth herself, embodying the raw energy of earth and heaven. This is before the splitting of earth and heaven. This is when Ouranos, his body, lays atop of Gaia, constantly creating. What of the seraphim? Angelic beings, closest to God, their very name means burning ones. Isaiah describes them as the six-winged and fiery chanting, "Holy, holy, holy," their voices echoing with divine power. Both the Cyclopes and the seraphim are linked to the divine forge, to the celestial fire that ignites creation itself. They are intermediaries, channeling divine power and knowledge, bridging the gap between the heavens and the earthly realm. Next, we encounter the Hecatonchires, beings of immense strength and stability. The 100-handed ones, born of Ouranos and Gaia, embody raw power. Their might was so great that even their father feared them. Well, who are they in the later traditions? We find them as the cherubim, powerful guardians often depicted with multiple faces, wings. Their role is to protect the sacred, to uphold divine order. They're holding up the chariot, the throne of God. Both the Hecatonchires and the cherubim represent the pillars of the cosmos itself, that which holds the Father up. The forces that maintain stability and order, they stand guard, separating the sacred from the profane, ensuring the integrity of the divine realm. At first, in the story, they're carving at the earth, they're creating the earth. But later, after the upheaval of Kronos, after the upheaval of Zeus, what we see is that these Hecatonchires are the guardians of the gates of the pit of Tartarus. They are the guardians of the layers between realities. They are that which protects the intellective kings from the intelligible kings. And then the third, we find the Weavers of Fate. Now this is intriguing because the Fates, according to Hesiod, were born of Nyx. But Nyx was in the second cosmos, according to the Orphics. Ouranos is now the king of the third cosmos, and it is stated in some Orphic fragments that he bears forth the Fates. These three Fates, the daughters of Nyx, control the destiny of all beings. They spin, they measure, they cut the thread of life, they determine the course of existence. In Ezekiel's vision, we encounter the Ophanim, the wheels, celestial beings associated with the divine chariot. Their wheels are ever turning, their eyes see all, symbolizing the cyclical nature of time and the all-encompassing vision of fate. Wheels, wheel of fortune, wheel of fate. Both the fates and the Ophanim represent the underlying order of the cosmos, the constant movement and cyclical nature of existence. They remind us that all things are interconnected, woven into the grand tapestry. If it's not clear already, doctrinal deviants, these striking parallels between the firstborn sons of Ouranos and the angelic orders suggest a deeper connection, a shared language of archetypes, a shared language of spiritual hierarchies that transcends cultural boundaries, and they invite us to question the origins of these myths and the hidden truths they may reveal about the cosmos and our place within it. Hesiod, in his Theogonies 139 through 146, says, "And they gave him Zeus, thunder and the flashing thunderbolt and lightning, which Gaia had hidden away, and the Cyclopes give him the thunder and fashioned the lightning. With it he rules over mortals and immortals." This is highlighting their connection to celestial fire, their role in providing Zeus with the tools of his power. Callimachus, in his hymn to Artemis, lines 46 through 51, "The Cyclopes labored, blowing hard at the fire, forging the bolt for the king, one after the other. Their fiery nature of craftsmanship linking them to the divine forge, the creation of powerful weapons. Now the seraphim themselves are warriors. Not only do they glorify the chariot, the throne of God, they protect it. They keep those who are unworthy away from the throne of God. What of the Hecatonchires? What of the cherubim? If you haven't noticed, the angels, biblically spoken, are these grotesque, monstrous beings with multiple eyes, multiple wings, built of fire. It's no different, really, than the Hecatonchires or the Cyclopes. A little different in cultural perspective. A single flaming eye, hundreds of arms and hands, grotesque features, not human. Not yet the full, refined picture of what the image of the gods will be and how their relationship with humanity will occur. It's mirroring the Hecatonchires, their multitude of limbs, their immense power, their guardianship over the throne of God, the throne of Ouranos. And later, the guardianship of the throne of Zeus. In Theogony, Hesiod states in 145 through 153, "These Hecatonchires were of exceptional strength and force. Each of them had 100 hands. The 50 heads grew from their shoulders. This emphasizes their immense strength, potential for upholding cosmic order, similar to the cherubim and their role in supporting the divine throne." Apollodorus, in his library, says, "But Gaia persuaded the Titans to attack their father, and they bound him, Ouranos. But Gaia brought forth the Hecatonchires, and these she urged to aid Zeus." This is their potential to guard, to enforce new order, to align with the cherubim's role of maintaining divine order. What we see in this first cosmos, the firstborn of Ouranos, is the birth of the angelic hosts, those who would protect, those who would conceal, those who would separate heaven from earth, those firstborn sons of the God of heaven. But what of the Ophanim, the fates? Ezekiel 1, verse 15 through 21 says, "As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like topaz. All 4 looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions. The creatures faced the wheels did not change direction as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around." This circular form, this constant motion, this all-seeing nature links them to the cyclical nature of time, of the overarching vision of the fates. In the Kabbalistic tradition, the Ophanim are often associated with the Sephirot of Binah, the womb of creation, and the feminine principle. This connects them to the fate's role in weaving the tapestry of life and destiny. Hesiod goes on in lines 217 through 222 of the Theogony, and there the daughters of the dark night have their dwelling, Clotho and Lachesis and Atropo, who give mortals their share of good and evil. This establishes their role in determining destiny. Plato recounts in his Republic 617 C through D, singing of the past, of the present, of the future, the fates. This emphasizes their connection to the flow of time, their influence over past, present, and future. These are the foundations of what the universe will become, the firstborn sons of Ouranos. But the question remains, why did he look upon these firstborn sons with such disgust? Why did the words of a simple oracle, something that he knew would come one day, the succession of his rule, why did he look upon his own children with disgust, shut them up inside the belly of Gaia, in the darkest pit of all places of Tartarus? Why would this Sky Father commit infanticide?
A father's fear, a son's rebellion, a cosmic clash that echoes through the ages. In the whispers of ancient myths and the verses of sacred texts, we find a tale of two rebellions, a story of sin and succession, of fathers and sons locked in an eternal struggle. Hesiod, the poet of ancient Greece, speaks of Ouranos, the Sky Father, who, consumed by fear, imprisons his own children, the Titans. Ouranos rejoiced in his evil doing, Hesiod tells us, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can dwell even in the hearts of gods. But across the sands of time, in the nascent whispers of a new faith, the narrative shifts. The sin, once residing in the Father, now falls upon the Son. Lucifer, the light-bringer, consumed by pride, leads a rebellion against the Almighty. Is this a mere coincidence, a random reshuffling of the cosmic deck? Or is it something more? A deliberate reimagining of ancient archetypes, a calculated move by a monotheistic tradition seeking to supplant the old gods and establish a new order? In both narratives, we see a cosmic clash between the God of heaven and his firstborn sons, a clash that reverberates through generations, transmitting sin from father to son, from Titan to Olympian, from angel to mortal man. Ouranos, driven mad by a prophecy of his own demise, imprisons his children. Cronus, fearing the same fate, devours his own offspring. Zeus, scarred by his father's actions, battles his own son, Typhon. And Lucifer, cast out of heaven, tempts mankind and sows the seeds of discord. Is this an endless cycle of violence and betrayal, a cosmic curse passed down from father to son? Or is there a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption, a possibility of breaking free from this chain of sin and suffering?
Now, Doctrinal Deviants, we delve into the heart of this mystery, the contrasting portrayals of fathers and sons in rebellion, and who had the first seed of sin. In Greek mythology, Ouranos, the Sky Father, imprisons his children, the firstborn, in the pit of Tartarus. This act of tyranny sets the stage for generational conflict that will occur through his children, the Titans, and through their children, the Olympians, and ending, finally, in the rise of the sixth king, Dionysus. This narrative highlights the cyclical nature of power, rebellion, renewal, of chaos, and order. But what if this Greek tragedy holds a hidden key to understanding a deeper cosmic drama, a drama that unfolds in the very pages of the Bible? What I'm talking about is the rebellion of the angels, the fall of Lucifer, the sins of the Father echoing through generations. Are these mere isolated incidents, or do they whisper of a forgotten connection, a reimagining of some ancient apocalypse? In the Bible, the tradition blames the rebellion and shifts the blame from father to sons, specifically Lucifer and his followers. This shift aligns with a monotheistic emphasis on God's absolute sovereignty and his righteousness. This rebellion is framed as a consequence of the angels' free will and their pride, not a flaw in the divine creator. This contrasting portrayal of fathers and sons in rebellions raises intriguing questions about the cultural and theological influences that shaped these narratives. Exploring these influences can shed light on the reasons for different portrayals. Hesiod, in his Theogony, verses 154 through 160, says, "And he, Ouranos, used to hide them all away in a secret place of the earth, so soon as each was born, and would not suffer them to come up into the light. And Ouranos rejoiced in his evil doing." This clearly depicts Ouranos' actions as the unjust one, as motivated by fear. What's he getting at here? What is Hesiod trying to say? Aeschylus, in his Prometheus Bound, speaks, Prometheus describing Ouranos' act of imprisoning the Titans as an act of cruelty and injustice. But when we go over to the Judaic myth, this angelic rebellion, one which doesn't happen in the traditional Judaism, but happens later in Christianity, the rebellion originates with the angels, specifically Lucifer and his followers, the shift in blame from father to son. This aligns with a monotheistic emphasis on God's absolute sovereignty and righteousness. The rebellion is framed as a consequence of the angels' free will and their pride, not a flaw within the divine creator. In Isaiah 14, verses 12 through 15, we're often interpreting as Lucifer's fall, describing his pride, his ambition to rise above God. Is this what Kronos will do to Ouranos? In Revelations 12, 7 through 9, it depicts a war in heaven and the expulsion of Satan and his angels, emphasizing the rebellion against God's authority. But what's really intriguing about this is who was the person who put the bug in the ear of Ouranos? Now, it says an oracle was bestowed upon him. Now, we know from previous explorations that the realm of prophecy belongs to the goddess Nyx, his mother. Why would Nyx plant the seed of doubt within the son's ear? Was there some chaos that needed to occur in order for order to realign itself? Is there some specific order that is supposed to come from the chaos of Ouranos and his first sin, the sin of infanticide, where he buries his own children in the bosom of his wife, Gaia? What is it exactly that Ouranos commits? Obviously, we're not talking about a moral narrative here, but something metaphysical, something that must occur in order for greater levels of existence to come about. You see, as Kronos will cut Ouranos from the bosom of the earth, a new world will be born. This sin of the father isn't so much a sin, but it is an indicator that there is some metaphysical order happening here, something different than what the Judaic or monotheistic viewpoint is. One of an absolute God, one who's omniscient and omnipotent, who could not possibly be rebelled against.
From the fertile depths of the mother Gaia's being, life takes its first breath. Monstrous forms emerge. The Cyclopes, with their single, fiery eye, crackle with untamed energy. And so, the ancient world trembles under Gaia's mighty creation. With their hammers, the sons of Ouranos shape the world. A Cyclops, towering over the nascent landscape, raises a crude hammer. With a deafening crash, it strikes an anvil, and a jagged bolt of lightning erupts from its eye, splitting the sky. The 100-handers, giants of impossible scale, tear at the earth with their rocky fists. Winds howl around them, carving canyons and shaping the very continents. Behold the power of my strength. A 100-hander rips a mountain from the earth, hurling it across the horizon. The impact sends shockwaves through the land, reshaping the world in an instant. The fates, Ethereal weavers of destiny dance amidst the chaos. Their threads intertwine, weaving the tapestry of future events, a symphony of cause and effect. Ouranos, the Sky Father, observes this spectacle with growing unease. The raw power, the untamed chaos, the grotesque beauty of his offspring. It fills him with a primal dread.
Is this the world I was destined to create? A world of such monstrous beauty, such terrifying potential?
A dark thought creeps into his mind, a prophecy foretold by an unseen oracle. A prophecy, whispered from the depths of the void, haunts Ouranos' every thought. His own children, these titans of creation, will rise against him, tear him from his throne, and claim his power. Ouranos' fear turns to resolve. He cannot allow this fate to befall him. He will defy destiny, even if it means turning against his own flesh and blood.
I will not be overthrown. I will not be a victim of fate. My children will not rise against me.
With a gesture of his hand, the earth splits open, revealing a gaping chasm leading to the depths of Tartarus. Ouranos, the king of the cosmos, the embodiment of the noetic mind, makes a fateful decision. He will imprison his own children, casting them into the abyss, hoping to silence the prophecy and preserve his reign. The Cyclopes and Hundred-Handers are dragged towards the chasm, their cries of protest echoing through the earth. Gaia, the Earth Mother, watches in horror, her heart filled with anguish and a growing rage. But this act of defiance will not go unpunished. The seeds of rebellion have been sown. Gaia, wounded and enraged, will not stand idly by as her children are cast into darkness. A storm is brewing, a cosmic clash that will shake the foundations of the universe.
What are we to make of a god who commits infanticide? This jealousy that we see of father to son shows up time and time again in the idea of generational consequences, the sins of the father. As it is spoken in Exodus, in Numbers, and in Deuteronomy as well, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. What's very interesting about this is the third and the fourth generation of Orphic kings, from Phanes to Dionysus, are Ouranos and Kronos, the only two gods who have a violent upheaval over their power. It is Zeus who finally breaks the cycle later in the Orphic mythology. It is Zeus who has to follow in the footsteps of his father, Kronos. 3 generations of this violent upheaval, but it is Zeus who finally, willingly gives his crown to his son, just as Phanes did, just as Nyx did to Ouranos, and balance is restored. This sin, this ancestral sin, will trickle down through the ages, through the sons of Ouranos, into his son Iapetus of the Titans, who was one of the grandfathers of mortal humans. This will trickle down through the ages into the stories of Adam and Eve, this idea of original sin, which is very unique to Orphic mysteries, to Christianity. This idea, the sins of the father, will follow them. It has generational consequences. It highlights the idea that the consequences of sin, of wrong action, of unvirtuous, unrighteous action, can extend beyond the individual and impact future generations. It doesn't mean that children are punished for their parents' sins, but rather that the effects of error can create cycles of dysfunction, chaos, hardship between families and communities. It speaks of chaos being born so that greater levels of order may be installed. This is what the Orphic cosmogony, this Orphic theogony, is trying to tell us. That in each of these cycles, chaos must come in order for greater refinement of order, so that as the creation process takes place, from Phanes to Nyx, from Nyx to Ouranos, from Ouranos to Kronos, from Kronos to Zeus, and ending in Dionysus, chaos must come before order. This is what they mean by the sins of the father. But our story isn't over. Ouranos has locked up his firstborn children, the Cyclopes, the Hecatonchires, in the bosom of Tartarus, inside the earth, inside of Gaia. She weeps. She calls out to her other children, the second-born children, the Titans. And from here, an epic clash will take place.